So NASA just delayed their moon mission, again, for like the 10th time. Artemis 2 was supposed to launch in early 2026. 4 astronauts, first humans to the moon in 50 years. Historic moment, the whole world watching. Then, during the dress rehearsal, basically a practice run, hydrogen started leaking from the rocket. Same problem they had back in 2022. Same problem they've had repeatedly. And here's the kicker. We've spent $93 billion on this program, and we still can't get off the ground. Stay with me, because this gets expensive. Okay, quick history lesson. In 1969, NASA put humans on the moon. Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong. One small step. You know the story. They did it with 1960s technology. Computers less powerful than your phone. No SpaceX. No reusable rockets. Just raw engineering and Cold War determination. Total cost for the entire Apollo program, from 1960 to 1973, including all the test flights, all the failures, building the Kennedy Space Center from scratch? $28 billion. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $280 billion in today's dollars. Now, 50 years later, we're trying to go back. The Artemis program. And we've already spent $93 billion. And we haven't even launched yet. Not only that, but each Artemis mission, when we actually do launch, will cost $4.1 billion per flight. For context, Apollo missions cost about $3.8 billion per flight in today's money. We're spending more per mission now than we did 50 years ago. With 50 years of technological advancement, how is that even possible? So what keeps happening? NASA does these wet dress rehearsals, which is just a fancy term for let's fill the rocket with fuel and make sure it doesn't explode before launch day. They start pumping 700,000 gallons of super cold liquid hydrogen into the Space Launch System. That's the rocket. And almost every time they notice leaks. Not massive explosion-level leaks, just small ones. But hydrogen is tricky. The molecules are tiny. They slip through seals. And when you're dealing with rocket fuel, even small leaks are a problem. They spend hours trying to fix it. Tightening seals, adjusting valves, getting it under control. Then, right when they think they've got it, the leak gets worse, way worse, exceeds NASA's safety limits. They have to scrub the test, cancel the launch window, delay the mission. And here's the thing. This is the same problem they had with Artemis 1 back in 2022. Hydrogen leaks, years ago. Multiple delays. They thought they fixed it. They didn't. The astronauts get ready, pack their bags, prepare for launch. Then they're sent home. Launch pushed back, again and again. Every time March, maybe April, maybe later, if they can fix it, again. Okay, so why does Artemis cost so much? Let me break down where your tax dollars are going. The Space Launch System, the rocket itself, cost $11 billion just to develop. Each launch costs another $2.2 billion. The Orion spacecraft, the capsule where astronauts sit, cost $9.3 billion to develop. The human landing system, the thing that actually lands on the moon, SpaceX is building that for $2.9 billion. The Lunar Gateway, a space station that'll orbit the moon, still being built, costs TBD, but probably billions more. Add it all up, $93 billion, and climbing. Meanwhile, SpaceX is building Starship, which is bigger, more powerful, and fully reusable for an estimated $5 billion in development costs. total. Elon Musk says each Starship launch will cost less than $10 million. NASA's SLS? $2.2 billion per launch. That's 220 times more expensive for basically the same mission. Why? Because SLS is expendable. You use it once, then throw it away? Every single launch needs a brand new rocket. It's like buying a new car every time you want to drive to the grocery store. SpaceX's Starship lands and you reuse it. NASA's SLS splashes into the ocean and sinks. Gone. $2 billion into the Atlantic. And NASA knows this. Their own Inspector General, basically their internal auditor, said in 2022, the cost per launch is unsustainable. This program cannot continue in its current form. They said that 4 years ago. Nothing changed. Let's compare Apollo to Artemis side by side, because this is where it gets wild. Apollo's Saturn V rocket, designed in the 1960s, most powerful rocket ever built at the time, could lift 140 metric tons to low Earth orbit, launched 13 times, never failed. Development time, 8 years, from concept to first launch. Artemis's space launch system uses basically the same design as Saturn V. Same concept, big rocket, lots of fuel, brute force. Can lift 95 metric tons to low Earth orbit, less than Saturn V from 50 years ago. Development time, 16 years, and counting. Still hasn't had a crewed launch. Apollo Command Module held 3 astronauts, cramped but functional, got the job done. Total missions to the Moon, 9, 6 successful landings. Artemis Orion capsule holds 4 astronauts, twice the interior space, way more high-tech. Total missions so far, 1. Artemis 1 in 2022. No crew. It worked, technically, but the heat shield got damaged on re-entry. Chunks of material broke off. They're still figuring out if that's a problem. Apollo landed on the Moon in 1969, 8 years after JFK said we're going to the Moon. Artemis started in 2017. We still haven't launched humans. The moon landing, Artemis 3, keeps getting pushed back. First, it was 2024, then 2025, then 2026, now 2027, maybe. So to recap, we had better technology 50 years ago, spent less money, and moved faster. Now, with modern computers, reusable rockets, and SpaceX showing us how to do it cheaper, we're slower, more expensive, and keep breaking down. What happened? The answer comes down to how big space projects get funded. Let me explain something called cost-plus contracts. When NASA hires companies to build rockets, they often use cost-plus deals. That means build this, and we'll pay whatever it costs, plus a profit. There's no fixed price. If costs go up, the payment goes up. If timelines slip, the contract continues. It's not about one company being bad. It's the system itself. There's less pressure to stay on budget when overruns still generate revenue. Then there's the jobs factor. These programs employ thousands of people across dozens of states. That's a lot of congressional districts. If you're representing a state where rocket factories employ thousands, canceling that program means lost jobs in your district. So funding continues, even when budgets balloon. Now, newer companies are proving rockets can cost less, but switching mid-program is complicated. Billions already invested, contracts already signed, political commitments already made. It's what economists call the sunk cost fallacy. We've spent this much. We can't stop now. So, the cycle continues. NASA says they're working on fixes. They always are. The next launch attempt keeps getting rescheduled, but they need to 1. Fix the hydrogen leak, again, for the third time, or fourth. Who's counting at this point? 2. Do another wet dress rehearsal. Can't launch without confirming the fix works. 3. Get the astronauts back into quarantine 2 weeks before launch. 4. Hope nothing else breaks. When Artemis 2 finally launches, it'll be a 10-day mission around the moon. No landing, just a flyby to test systems. Then comes Artemis the third, the actual moon landing. That one depends on SpaceX finishing Starship HLS, the lunar lander. NASA fixing Orion's heat shield problem. Nothing else going wrong. SpaceX is still testing Starship. It's not ready yet. The heat shield issue isn't fully resolved, and based on Artemis's track record, something will go wrong. Realistic estimate? We're probably not landing humans on the moon until 2028 or 2029 at the earliest. That's over a decade after the program started, and probably $120+ billion spent by then. Meanwhile, Apollo went from announcement to moon landing in 8 years for $280 billion total, including building everything from scratch. Here's what gets me about all this. We know how to go to the moon. We did it 50 years ago. With slide rules and courage. We're not pioneering anything new here. We're not inventing warp drives or colonizing Mars. We're literally trying to repeat what we already accomplished, and we can't do it. Not because it's technically impossible, but because of bureaucracy, cost-plus contracts, political preservation of jobs. SpaceX is launching astronauts to the ISS regularly, building Starship for Mars, catching rockets with giant robot arms, and doing it for a fraction of NASA's budget. Meanwhile, NASA, the agency that put 12 people on the moon, can't stop hydrogen from leaking out of a rocket. $93 billion. Your tax money. And we're not even off the ground yet. If you want more space program deep dives like this, the good, the bad, and the expensive, hit subscribe. I break down one space mystery every week, and trust me, there are plenty more failures to cover. Drop a comment. Do you think Artemis will actually succeed, or should we just let SpaceX handle it? Let me know. Thanks for watching. And if you're one of the 4 Artemis 2 astronauts waiting for this thing to launch, sorry. Maybe next month, or the month after, or next year. We'll see.